So, about 2 weeks ago, I started playing my PlayStation 2 again for the first time in probably months. And all this was just happenstance. I was playing on my emulator, and I have my PlayStation 2 hooked up to my TV, and I was thinking, you know what? I haven't played actually on my PlayStation in a while. There were a couple of games that I was just kind of looping around on. SmackDown vs. Raw, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, MVP Baseball, and I was like, you know what? Let me just turn on my PlayStation 2. And, you know, next thing I know, I'm going down the rabbit hole of like, let me get physical copies of some of the games that I've been playing a lot recently. So I actually went out and I ordered Rumble Racing, which I will probably do a video on. It's a really fun racing game from EA Sports. Back in 2001, it's not a realistic racing game. It's just a fun arcade style racing game from EA. So I went ahead and picked that up. NBA Shootout 2004. I bought SSX at a game store and I ordered Black. And I didn't have a physical copy of that for my PS2. I picked up Transformers when I was out with some friends. I pulled out and found my copy of The Punisher. Hadn't played that in a while. Um, and the controls on my emulator are just not great sometimes for the PS2. It's not necessarily, I don't know if it's the fault of the emulator or if it's just the physical buttons. When I'm playing on my emulator and I'm looking at the screen, it's like playing on a Wii U. It's not a true controller, and there's just something about having the real controller in your hands, and just how much easier it is to input buttons, the response. There's no lag. Um, so anyway, I just found myself like enjoying playing on the actual console. And next thing I know, I'm pulling out games left and right from my library that I haven't touched in a while. I'm actually keeping a lookout when I'm out and about at game stores, retro game stores, which we have a lot of here in New Jersey, and take a look at my series on the retro gaming scene, which I'm going to probably do a couple new videos on because there's way more places. But digital press, J2 games. I don't think I've done J2 games yet, but I did digital press, yestercades. So take a look at that. But anyway, um, I just found myself really enjoying playing on the console. Then I jumped into Madden 12, which on the PS2 is actually a great game. It plays exactly the same as Madden 2005, um, but it has the Super Sim option. And with Super Sim, just like in the current games, you can skip a possession, skip a play, or skip all the way up to a change in possession, quarter, half, whatever. And that game on the PS2 is basically like having Madden 2005 with modern features on it. It's the last Madden for the PS2. Incredibly fun. So I found myself enjoying that. And then I pulled out MVP Baseball 2005. I pulled out NBA Live '09, which most people don't consider to be a great game. But that's probably because, again, they're thinking about the Xbox 360 version or the PlayStation 3 version. If you ever played it on the PlayStation 2, it's basically like a souped up version of NBA Live 2005. Um, the dribbling mechanics are there. I would say the rim graphics are improved from 2005, as are the player models, and the gameplay is still fast. It's fun, and it has all the All Star Weekend stuff, the dunk contest, the 3-point shooting contest, all that stuff. It's a great game, and I'm just going down the rabbit hole. NFL 2K5, Major League Baseball 2K5, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, all the wrestling games, WWE SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, WWF SmackDown Just Bring It, WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown vs. Raw '06, SmackDown vs. Raw '08, 2009, 2011. Um, Gran Turismo 4, True Crime Streets of LA, True Crime New York City, Black Hawk Down, Delta Force, Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters Future, what is that? Future Perfect. SOCOM 3, U.S. Navy SEALs, Driver 3, Freedom Fighters, Urban Chaos Riot Response, 007 Quantum of Solace, um, Killzone, uh, like I said, The Punisher, NHL Hits Pro, completely underrated hockey game. You know, everybody talks about the NHL series like NHL 2004, the EA games, and everybody remembers NHL Hits 2002, 2003 from Midway, but they made a NFL Blitz Pro and an NHL Hits Pro. NFL Blitz Pro is a miss. NFL Hits Pro is connection. It's a bopper. It's a good one. Um, Takes everything you like about the NHL hit series and actually gives you 5-on-5 hockey. Um, it's fun. There's a pickup play mode where you can play on outdoor rinks and ponds with like made up characters, like made up teams, like fire department and police department and utility guys or whatever. But it's a lot of fun. It's just a great game. Arcade, fast paced, ton of fun. Soldier of Fortune. Bad Boys. Yeah, the movie Bad Boys. They made a game, and it's actually not that bad. Um, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And there's way more. And I've touched a lot of games in the last couple of weeks. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Vice City. Um, but the point of this really is to say I started playing PlayStation 2, and I exclusively have been playing it for a couple of weeks. Now, I grew up with this system. I my first system was a Super Nintendo. I got a PlayStation when it came out. I got a Nintendo 64 a year later, and I played those obviously, you know, throughout the 90s, and then I did not get a Sega Dreamcast when it came out. Um, but I had friends that had it, so I did play it a lot. And then I got a PlayStation 2 when it came out that fall or that Christmas. I had gotten it for Christmas as a gift. And then obviously I played launch titles. I had Madden 2001 and NHL 2001, Midnight Club. Trying to think what else did I have at launch. I think that's about it. And what I have playing right now on the screen is actually this is from Gamespot TV, the now defunct Gamespot TV. Uh, this is like their launch PS2 episode. So let's see. But I did have, I had Midnight Club. I'm trying to think what other games. I can't remember what else I had at launch. But it was a system that, since I got it from the time it launched, I definitely, I grew up with it. I had it from its inception and I picked up a ton of games over the years for it. And then, as an adult, I was able to pick up even more. And now I have, even a larger library than I ever had as a kid. And this system, the library is so wide. Everything that, that people complain about nowadays with modern gaming. And let me just say this. I have an Xbox Series X. I actually enjoy Call of Duty. Um, I play, I'm looking forward to the Precinct when that comes out. I'm looking forward to Black Ops 6 when that comes out. I do play modern games. I do like them. But let me just say that everything that anybody complains about modern games, the PlayStation 2 reminds you why you love video games. Because the library is so wide. It's so incredibly wide, and that is really the most important thing. The gameplay is great, and the variety of games is there. So whether it's football, if you're a big sports gamer, PlayStation 2 has you covered. You got Madden, you got NFL 2K, you got NFL Game Day, you got NFL Blitz. I mean, you have it all, right? Hockey games, you have all that. You have multiple developers, 2K, Midway, EA, Sony themselves, all making games. And some of their greatest games in their genres, respectively, were all made in this sixth generation. And the best versions of these games were all the sixth generation. So if you ever played Madden 12 and hated it, did you play the PlayStation 2 version? Have you ever played NBA Shootout 2004? Probably not. Sony stopped making it. 989 Sports. They don't exist now. The only game that survived from that family of games is MLB The Show. And people love that game. I do. But back in the day, you had MLB The Show, but you also had MVP Baseball. You had 2K Baseball. You had High Heat Baseball. And each of those games had its strengths and weaknesses. Right off the bat, I can tell you, and I'll do videos on this. I'm gonna do videos on all the games I'm throwing out there. But this is a general, talk, conversation, I should say, about these games and about my experience over 2 weeks of playing PlayStation 2. And what I can say without a shadow of a doubt is that if you take, for example, the baseball games, Major League Baseball 2K5, best presentation, MVP Baseball, probably the best pure gameplay. And really the part of the gameplay that sticks out is the motions. The players and the way that they move left to right, the way the ball comes out of their hands is superior to 2K and High Heat. The the best arcade experience, probably High Heat. It's not supposed to be serious, and it's not. Um, so, and PlayStation 2, especially right now, obviously not when it was, when it was new, but now, if you want to collect all of those games, you can go out and pick them up. They're not going to break the bank. I mean, that's the beauty of it. NFL 2K5, Madden 2005, or Madden 12, as I was just talking about, NFL Game Day, Blitz. Go ahead, take your pick. There's variety. This console has it all. The wrestling games. Here Comes the Pain is one that has lived in lore for many years. People compare it as, whether it's number one or two all time in wrestling games. Between that and No Mercy. That's always what comes up. I personally think that, especially nowadays, I think Here Comes the Pain, Shut Your Mouth, and the SmackDown vs. Raw series. I think it's a little better than the the Aki engine games. I love those games. I have a Nintendo 64. I have WrestleMania 2000. I have WCW NWO Revenge. I have WWF No Mercy, um, and WCW NWO World Tour. So I have them. I don't play them that often. To be honest. I appreciate the gameplay. It's not that I don't, but to be fair, I just feel like the SmackDown vs. Raw series, the depth of the match types, um, and the gameplay itself. I think Ukes and THQ. I think they took the Akai stuff to the next level. Now, the difference is that when you hit Here Comes the Pain, that's the beginning of limb targeting, blood on the PlayStation 2. You can play a methodical style and be rewarded for it. Shut Your Mouth and Just Bring It. And then, of course, the PlayStation 1 games like SmackDown Know Your Role, or SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, and then SmackDown the original. You're not rewarded for that necessarily. The game doesn't care about body parts and all that. It's just a matter of beat the guy, build up your meter, hit your special. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a fun. And I think Shut Your Mouth is a completely underrated game because everybody talks about Here Comes the Pain. But Shut Your Mouth, I think, had a better roster, minus Goldberg and Scott Steiner, who you can create very easily. And I've done that. Um, but nonetheless, it's subjective. They're all great. They're all absolutely phenomenal. But I think in speaking about what the PlayStation 2 offers and just my experience going back to these games, when I hear people complain about 2K24, which I actually like, it's a good game. But my complaints are I can't stand that when a player model comes out or character, whether it's a version of a character we already have, like what they did with CM Punk, or if it's a model like the Scott Steiner that's not in the game, like the Big Papa Pump version of him, they put it in the My Faction stuff. So you either have to wait, you have to waste time, you have to waste VC, microtransactions, going through a mode that's really not that fun or not that exciting. I own the game. I bought the game, or at least technically, I guess nowadays with when you buy a game digitally, you own the right to play the game, a license to play it. But I spent all this money on a game, and then you're putting characters out months and months later. When did that game come out? March? It came out before WrestleMania. So that game was out before WrestleMania. It's now October 20th. Okay? So we're talking 7 months later. You're putting characters out for this game. So I had a game for 7 months and it's not complete. And then on top of that, I can't even get to the characters that you're releasing because you want me to spend real money or waste real time trying to get to them. In the old games, like all the games from the PS2, you unlock them by playing the season mode, which was great. Okay. Or you just use your cash from playing regular matches, and then you use that to unlock the characters. The characters were there. The game was a finished product. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to wait 10 months for a download. And then the other thing was, if you had a friend who unlocked everything before you could just copy the memory. But you own the game. The game was done and you owned it. It wasn't like now where it's like, I don't own it. They release stuff randomly. And by the time the game is fully complete, there's going to be a new game coming out in 5 months. Now, one of the advantages of modern gaming in wrestling, at least, is the community creations, right? Again, it's the internet. It's the good and the bad of it. They know they have the internet, and you know you have it. So because they know, they don't have to make a game complete. They can send you a game that's halfway finished because they know they can always have you download the rest of it later. And the beauty of it with the internet is that you have community creations, so people can create things and you can download it. That's awesome. I can't do that with SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. It's locked. Whatever's there is there, but what's there is great. What's on Shut Your Mouth is great. What's on Here Comes the Pain is great. Even what's on Just Bring It, it's okay. The nostalgia of seeing the WWF logo, hearing them say World Wrestling Federation, seeing all the arenas that I'm going to download in 2K24, seeing them built into the game because that's the time period. Yeah, that has power to it. It's the last real World Wrestling Federation game. So I play it for that reason. And it's fine. And it's the same thing with the PlayStation 1. Oh, PlayStation 1, that's right. I forgot. My PlayStation 2 is fully compatible with my PlayStation 1. So the PlayStation 1 is a great library. And you have it all there. If there's games on there that you want to play, you got it. It's not like nowadays where if I have a PlayStation 5, I can't play my PlayStation 3 on there. And half the games that I enjoy from the last two generations before this current one, it requires an updated server. It requires having the internet. It requires support. Because without that, for example, WWE 13 and WWE 2K14, there's DLC content on there. And that DLC content is gone forever now if you didn't download it at the time. Because the servers are down. So if you were to buy the game right now and you didn't download that content at the time that the servers were up, you're just out of luck. It's gone. If I buy SmackDown vs. Raw in 2024, everything I want is on the game. I have to unlock it, but it's there. The game is complete, and somebody can sell it to me. No one's going to sell me their copy of 2K24 because they can't, because they bought it digitally. And again, this is not a conversation about digital versus physical. And this is not a conversation about knocking modern gaming. But I just think that sometimes we overlook the value of, like, for example, the PlayStation 2, a console that sold over 100 million copies for a reason. The library drove it down the road. Every game that you play now, where you see comments about people complaining about gameplay, complaining about, well, what happened to this game when we had this? Oh, I missed this when we had that. It's all there for you with your PS2. If you have your PS2 and you're saying, hey, I remember when THQ made a variety of games, I'm going to play The Punisher. I remember when Activision made things like Tony Hawk. I'm going to play that. Or, oh, I miss Sony making games like SOCOM. Why did they discontinue that series? I have no idea. Pretty stupid considering that online gaming is pretty prevalent right now. PlayStation 2s, if you go to a retro game store, you can get a PlayStation 2 from anywhere from 70 to 90 bucks. If you go online, go on eBay or Amazon, you can get a modded PlayStation 2 for anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks, depending on the size of the hard drive, whatever. But regardless, my point is they're easy to get. They're not that expensive. The games, you can pick them up for anywhere from 60 cents to 20 bucks, depending on the game. Of course, there's some rare games that are going to, they're going to charge you more. But overall, you can pretty much collect the games that you would want to play or should try for not that much money. You can go to a retro game store and pick up, very, very clean copies of games, such as like a Killzone. Let's see, I see the tag. I think I bought it for $9. Not that bad. Bought Transformers for $5. I mean, that's nothing. Is there a PlayStation 5 game or an Xbox Series X game I can buy for $5? No. Whether it's the Bond series, Everything or Nothing, Nightfire, Agent Under Fire, whether it's first person shooters, like, how about this? You want to play a game where you're a police officer working for the SWAT team and you have to go into various environments and perform like riot response type police work? Yeah. How about Urban Chaos, Riot Response? There is nothing on the market right now like Urban Chaos Riot Response. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing like it. You're a cop going around the streets and going in as first person shooter, fighting gangs, helping the EMTs, helping the fire department to get the city cleaned up from a riot. What about here's another cop game that that they don't have nowadays. What about true crime? What about true crime? True crime Streets of LA, True Crime New York City, Activision. All they do is make Call of Duty now. They don't focus on anything else. They had a library that was wide, and True Crime was not a GTA clone because True Crime was a game where you were playing as a police officer, and the fighting mechanics arguably were better than that of Grand Theft Auto. You had to use martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, but they also had shooting. You could zoom in with your gun and it was almost like a first person shooter. It was very close third person shooting. They had bullet time just like you have in the Rockstar series. Uh, what is it? Max Payne. They had bullet time features in that. I mean, this is a game that like there's nothing like it on the market right now. Absolutely nothing. Modern consoles could do amazing things with a series like True Crime. And I don't know why, if I'm Xbox, especially because now they own Activision, you want to start making games that people really want to play, make a new True Crime. Make a True Crime and make up the city, or put it in Miami, or put it in St. Louis or something. Put it in Dallas. True Crime, True Crime Texas, and let people play as a sheriff, where you get to go around and just do whatever you want as a cop. You know, and you could be dirty, you could be clean. And in that game, in True Crime, if you actually as a detective, if you commit crimes over and over, if you kill innocent people, if you harass people, you'll have a meter. If that meter gets filled up or you're too bad of a cop, then the police will actually put a warrant out for your arrest and they will come after you just like in Grand Theft Auto when they come after you when you commit crimes. And then what happens is when you get arrested or killed, your boss, who in True Crime New York City, your boss is actually Livia from Law and Order SVU. She will literally demote you and take you off the streets as a detective and make you into a beat cop again. And as a beat cop, you have to go around, solving smaller crimes in order to get the respect meter as a police officer back up, where they'll allow you to wear your street clothes again as a detective. There's nothing like that out there right now. Absolutely nothing. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. There's just no variety in the gaming world right now. It's all about graphics. And the sad thing is, not only did this sixth generation, like the PS2, because I'm specifically talking about the PlayStation 2, not only did you have a variety of games, but every genre had a variety. So everything, first person shooters, RPGs, sports games, third person action, open world, there's genres and subgenres that existed on this system that are literally gone now. Developers and we all know the reasons, right? Or some of them. Games are so expensive to make on the current equipment that that these studios, they can't take a risk by going out and making a game that doesn't sell. They have to make games that are guaranteed to make money. This is almost like this is an era where games are big business. And if a game developer is going to make it like in Activision, they don't want to dip their toes back into true crime. They have Call of Duty. And EA, they don't even make a basketball game anymore. They just regurgitate Madden. 2K, the license for baseball and hockey is not exclusive. Sony doesn't own the license to baseball, and EA doesn't own the license to hockey, but 2K doesn't want to make those games. 2K doesn't bother to make a baseball game. They don't bother to make a hockey game. They're trying to make a football game, you know, see how that goes. But back then you had variety of genres and you had a variety within a genre where there were subgenres and there were multiple studios making multiple types of games. There was no shortage of options and opportunities. And because of that competition, and because the cost of making a game for a lower system, because these systems don't have they don't, this doesn't have the power of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. The gameplay was better. And for the most part, these, games don't need the best graphics. It's about gameplay. So you just got to think like, where is video games going to go? And I'm going to do videos on these games I mentioned. I'll do it on Urban Chaos. I'll do all these games, Rumble Racing, SmackDown vs. Raw stuff, True Crime. I have done videos on Here Comes the Pain, or I think I did a video on Shut Your Mouth already. MVP Baseball, yeah, Major League Baseball 2K5. There's a lot of games I have. This is going to be a long series for me to get through, which is why this video is really for me just to talk about where games have gone and where they're going as they play in the background. Gamespot TV from back in the day. Um, I just think we have to get back as an industry. I don't know if the gaming industry is going to go back, but as gamers, I encourage all of you to get back to these old games. Get back to your sixth generation. If you've never played, if you've never owned a PlayStation 2, if you didn't grow up with it, do yourself a favor and dive into this genre. Dive in to this system. The library is cheap and it will blow your mind. And you're going to find yourself, whether it's, a late night or tired after work, you're going to find yourself loving not having to go online to play a game, not having a download. When you're like, oh, I just got back from work and you turn on your system and you have a download, it's going to take 25 minutes. You're going to love not having microtransactions and you're going to love the variety of these games. And they're all replayable. And you're probably not going to be able to replay too many of these games just because it's going to take you so long to get through this massive library. And the bangers, no matter what you like, are everywhere. So that's really my pitch, my commentary for now. Like I said, I haven't touched my modern consoles. It's not that I don't plan on playing them again. Of course I will. There's games I do like, but it was so refreshing for 2 weeks to be totally submerged and wrapped up in the environment of the PlayStation 2, living like it's 2000 again. Um, it's been fun. It just reminded me how great this system is, how great the 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 library is, and how little I need the features and the positives of some of these other consoles when I have a PlayStation 2 cooking. So I encourage you to go out and pick up a PlayStation 2. I encourage you to go through the library, and I will be doing videos on these games. Um, it's going to take some time to get through it, but I will put together some stuff on these different games, especially the ones that I think are not quite as common or maybe not spoken about as much. Like I said, like the Urban Chaos Riot responses, the Rumble Racing, um, NBA Shootout 2004, Madden 12, NHL Hits Pro. If you go on YouTube, there's not a lot of content for some of these, and that's a shame, but that's all right. We'll take care of that. And I'm wide open to requests. If there's anything that anybody wants to specifically see or wants me to go over, discuss, I'm more than happy to do it. Just want to have fun because that's what we're all about. We're all about having fun here in the Corner Arcade. All right, thank you, everybody.